Welcome everyone to Yoga Basics. Today the props that you will need are a strap, 2 blocks. If you do have 2 blocks, it's very helpful in a pose that we're going to be doing, and a chair. So, all right, getting comfortable on the mat, sitting on some folded blankets, or even on one of your blocks. We'll just take a few moments to prepare ourselves for our practice. So closing the eyes and turning the attention inward. And just taking a few moments to notice how your body feels. Especially noting any areas of tension or tightness. And then taking 2 deep cleansing breaths. So take a nice big inhale through the nose and exhale it all out by blowing or sighing it out. And then one more nice big inhale and exhale it all out. And then soften the muscles of the face. Relax the muscles of the neck and the shoulders. And then turn the attention to the breath. Notice the inhale. And notice the exhale. And then we'll begin a nice, even breathing, inhaling and exhaling to a count of 4. So inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. And just continue with this nice, even breathing. If at any time it makes you lightheaded or dizzy, just go back to your own normal breathing pattern. And then we also set an intention for each practice to help remind us why we are here. So that may be a benefit you would like to receive, or just an uplifting or a positive thought or a phrase. So think of an intention that you'd like to have for your practice today. And then with your next inhale, go ahead and lift your head and open your eyes. And before we begin the warm-up, if you were sitting with the legs folded and you wanted to switch the top leg, go ahead and do that. And then we'll start by turning our heads to look out over that right shoulder. and coming back to center and turning to look out over the left. And back to center, dropping the chin to the chest. And then picking the chin up towards the ceiling and jutting that lower jaw out. And coming back to center and dropping the right ear to the right shoulder. And back to center and left ear to left shoulder. And back to center. And then extending the hands out in front, open and close the fingers. And then some wrist circles. And reverse. Good. And then we're going to do some wrist stretches, I guess, or wrist exercise. It's a wrist twist. It's actually called arm pretzels, which you'll see why in a minute. So we'll extend our arms out in front of us. Take your left hand, just cross it over the right, so the forearms are crossing. Then rotate your palms so the thumbs are pointing down, so palms are facing each other, and then clasp your hands. And then bending the elbows, drop the hands down and circle them around. Now, if you can, pull them in a little bit closer to your chest and then maybe down a little bit. So now you're going to start feeling that in the wrist. Remember, no discomfort or pain, just back off of it if you start feeling uncomfortable. But just working the wrist a little bit here. Good. Continue to breathe. Good. And then dropping the hands down, extending the arms. Go ahead and untwist them. Just shake it out a little bit, and we'll try it on the other side. So right hand over the left. Again, rotate the palms so the thumbs are down. Palms facing each other. Clasp the hands. Drop the hands down and around. Good. And then if you can, slide them down just alongside your body. Again, if you feel any discomfort, back off of what you're doing. Good. And just continue to breathe. This is actually one of our poses for osteoporosis, focusing on the wrist to try to stimulate those bone cells. A lot of times when people fall, they break their wrist. Of course, it is better than breaking a hip, but having strong hands are important. Good. Drop those hands down, extend it out, release it, shake it out. Good. Then just bring your hands back to your lap, and we'll focus on the shoulders by doing some shrugs. And then the next time you pick those shoulders up, we'll roll them to the back. So some shoulder rolls. Good. Bringing the shoulders back to neutral, extending the elbows. Now we'll bring the fingertips together. And then keeping the torso still, just lifting and lowering each elbow. And then bringing those hands back down, taking the right hand, placing it to the outside of the right hip, and then sweeping the left arm up and exhale, bend to the right. Good. Coming back to center, switch hands, inhale and exhale to the left. Good. And coming back to center and coming into a twist. So we'll take the left hand on the right knee, inhale to lengthen the spine, and then as you exhale, bring the right hand around behind you and look to your right. And then exhale back to center, switch hands. Again, inhale to lengthen, and then exhale, turn and look to the left. Left hand comes around behind you to support the spine. Good, and then release back to center, and then extending the legs out in front of you if you did have those legs crossed, and shake them out a little bit. And then taking the hands, placing them behind the thigh, pulling the knee into the chest as you expand and extend the leg. And then the next time you pull that knee in, hold it there, point and flex the foot. And then some ankle circles. And reverse. Good. Placing that right leg down, same thing on the left. Start by bending and extending. And the next time you pull that leg in, hold it there, point and flex the foot. Ankle circles. And reverse. Good. And then coming onto your hands and knees, and as always, opening up your mat, or opening up your blanket, I'm sorry, for some extra padding of the knees and the shins. I'm actually going to put mine that way. And then coming on to hands and knees for a spinal warm-up of cat-cow. So placing the wrists under the shoulders, knees hip-width apart. We'll start with cow pose, which is that arching of the spine. So with an inhale, lift the chest and the sits bones. And then with your exhale, press into your hands, rounding the back, dropping the chin to the chest. And then inhale into cow. Exhale into cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Good. And again, inhale and exhale. Good. And then bringing the spine back to neutral, dropping the hips to the heels as you come into child's pose, and supporting the head either with your block, if you have it nearby, just resting your forehead on the block, or stacking your hands, the fists, and resting your head here. Good, and then we're going to come into downward facing dog, or always option of puppy pose. So coming back up to hands and knees, extending the hands out a little bit in front of you. If you stay in puppy, then walk the hands a little farther forward and just extending through the arms and the shoulders, pull the shoulders down the back and begin to drop the chest down. So either staying here or pressing into the base of the index finger and the thumb, curling the toes, pressing the hips up, and again, that extension through the arms and shoulders, upper back, keeping a little bend in the knees, or walking the dog, and just taking a few breaths, whichever pose you choose, taking a break when you need to. Good, and then returning your knees to the mat, coming back up into hands and knees. So if you do have two blocks, place them on either side at the top of the mat, and you can experiment with whichever height is best for you. So we're going to come into this runner's lunge. So you can place your hands on the blocks, shift the weight over to the left leg. We'll start with the right leg. So you're going to pick up that right leg, bring it forward. So you can reach back, grab your heel to bring it forward. Now, here's where the blocks are handy. Hands are on the block. Walk your toes a little bit forward because we're going to drop the hips down. So my hips are in front of that back knee, that right knee. And if you need to hold on to the blocks because you want to bring your torso up a little bit here, if you're okay, you can even bring your fingertips or hands to the mat. So here, my back stays straight. So that's what we're preventing, is that rounding by using the blocks. You also want to focus on the front of the left thigh. So stretching that out. Now, here's an option. Curl those left toes and lift the left leg. It's a little more intense here. Good. Continue to breathe. Good. And then we'll return the left knee down if you had it straight, and then take that right foot, bring it back to hands and knees, and we'll switch sides. I'm going to turn around so you can see me. So shifting the weight over to the right, again, you can reach back, grab that left foot to bring it forward. Use your blocks. Just because it's harder to see my hands, I'm going to put my hands on the mat. Walk your foot forward so that when you shift the hips forward, your knee does not go past your toes. This is on that left knee and left toes. So you're welcome to stay here, feeling a nice stretch in the front of that right thigh. Continue to breathe. Try to get your torso lifted so you're not rounding the back over that front thigh, and that's where the blocks come in. So if you need to, use those blocks here. Again, an option is to curl now the right toes, lift the right knee. Good. And then continue to breathe. Good. And then return the right knee down to the mat. Step that left foot back. And then, or you could, we're going to come up to standing. So if it's easier from here to shift the weight forward and step forward, go ahead and do that. If not, you can do that I've showed you before, rolling back onto the balls of the feet and coming up. All right. Well, let's go ahead and put the blanket to the side and the blocks to the side for right now. And then go ahead and return to the mat. I'm going to be in the middle of the mat. If you'd like to stand on the short end of the mat, facing the short end, that's fine too. So we're going to start by coming into mountain pose. So have the legs hip width apart, feet are parallel with one another, finding the four corners of the feet, distributing the weight between the balls of the feet back to the heels, so your toes should be able to move. You don't have any weight in your toes. And then lift up through the arches, tighten the front of the thighs, arms alongside the body. Good. Lift and tighten the abdominals. Focus on the spine, lifting up from the tailbone all the way up to the crown of the head. Pick the shoulders up, rolling down the back. lifting the chest. And then the other day we talked about when we went over to the wall, pulling the neck back a little bit so that your ears stack over the shoulders. And then your shoulders are over your hips, hips over the knees, and knees over the ankles. Keeping that chin parallel, just gazing forward, taking a few breaths. Good. And then from here, we're going to come into chair pose. So I'm going to turn on the diagonal just so you can kind of watch my arms a little better here. So with the inhale, you can either bring the arms to shoulder height or lift them up a little bit higher. Now, if you come up a little bit higher, you're probably not going to be able to go down as far in the pose because you're using those back muscles. So whichever one is most comfortable for you. All right, so as you take your next inhale, I'm going to bring my arms up so they're kind of on that diagonal, not quite all the way up. And then with the exhale, begin to bend the knees. As you put the weight back in the hips, though, you're keeping the weight in the heels, keeping the back straight. Good, and then continue to breathe. Good, and then with the inhale, press into those feet as you come back up. Good. All right, so now if you were in the middle of the mat, come on up to the short end of the mat. We're going to come into Warrior One. You're welcome to have the chair in front of you for support. So just turning the chair around, you can always keep a hand on the chair if you need to. All right, so we're going to start by putting the weight into the left leg. We'll bend the right knee, and as you step that right foot back, then bend the left knee. Now remember, Warrior One, you want to press that right heel back, okay? And your hips are going to be square to that short end of the mat. Tighten that right glute. Excuse me, that's going to give you some support. Now, arms are alongside the body, or if you need to, keep a hand on the chair. And then inhale, sweeping the arms up. See if you can bring them alongside the ears. Good. Come back to your nice, even breathing. Press into those feet, those four corners. Good. And then exhale, bring the arms down. Shift the weight forward into that left leg as you step the right foot forward. So if you find that you're still pretty uneven or unsteady, as we step the left foot back, take it out to the side a little bit. That will widen your base and give you a little more stability. In the full pose, the heels are in line with one another, but that's a very narrow base. So see if stepping that back leg out to the side helps a little bit. All right, shift the weight to the right leg. Bend the left knee, and again, as you step that left foot back, then bend the right knee. So here's where you will experiment. Try stepping that left foot out a little bit. Now your left foot is just about facing forward. You're maybe angled about 15 degrees or so because we want the hips to face forward. Good. Then you'll bring your torso up. Again, if you need a hand on the chair, keep it there. And then inhale, bring those arms up. Again, tighten that left buttock. It really does help stabilize that back leg. Press into those feet. Good. Continue to breathe. Good. And then as you exhale, bring those arms down. Shift the weight forward. Walk it out a little bit. So we're going to come into Warrior 3. We are going to use the back of the chair. So standing and facing the back of the chair, you're going to walk your feet back so that your arms are extended, and then hold on to the back of the chair. Now, you're going to drop the chest down towards the floor. Your head will come just about between your arms. Then shift the weight over to the left leg. If your hamstrings are tight, just keep a little bend in that left leg. And then you're going to extend the right leg behind you. Now, press into the heel of that right leg. Try not to lift your right hip, so keep the hips parallel to the floor. If your hamstrings are okay, then straighten that left leg. Good. And continue to breathe. Good. And then with the exhale, go ahead and bring that right leg down. You can even bring it forward a little bit. As you come up, walk it out a little bit. And we're going to try that on the other side. I'm just going to switch my chair so you can see me here. All right. So again, start by walking those feet back, extending out through the arms. And then once you've extended, pull those shoulders down the back. And then your right leg should be right underneath that right hip. Start with a little bend in the knee. As you extend the left leg behind you, flex that left foot, press through the heel, and then tightening that right leg if you can. It's going to depend on those hamstrings. Good, and continue to breathe. Good, and then with the exhale, go ahead and bring that left foot down. Just swing it forward so that you can step the right leg forward. And then shake those legs out, walk it out a little bit. All right, go ahead and just put your chair to the side. We're going to come back down on the mat. If you would like to open up your blanket a little bit before you come down, we're going to start in plank pose. And then we're going to come down on our belly. So if you do like a little extra padding, then just open up that blanket. Now, remember your options for plank. If you like to do it on your forearms, then walk yourself down to the mat by coming into hands and knees, extending the knees behind the hips, lowering yourself down. As you come on the forearms, your options are to keep the knees on the mat, just lift the hips, or curl your toes, lift both the hips and the knees. So this is your forearm plank, either of those two options. Or you can do plank on your hands, toward a little bit here. All right, so I'm going to give us 30 seconds. So come into whichever option is best for you. And we will begin. 30 seconds. Take a break when you need to. This is just building muscle strength here. Remember to keep breathing. Keep those abdominals tight. That will help support the low back. We have about 5 more seconds. Good. If you are on your hands, bring those knees down. Lower yourself down to the mat. If you are on your forearms, just lower yourself down to the mat. And then we're going to start by bringing the elbows out to the side and just stacking one hand over the other. And then laying your right cheek down on your hands. And just taking a couple of breaths here. And then switching your hands, so now the other hand is on top, turn your head so the other cheek is resting on your hands. Good. And then turning your head so that you're looking down at the mat, extending your arms out in front of you, and then just placing your forehead on the mat and reaching through those fingers and through your toes. So getting a nice stretch here. And then we're going to bring ourselves into an X. So you're going to widen your hands so that your arms are on that diagonal, and then widen your legs. And then you're going to reach through the opposite fingers and toes. So reach through those left fingers, the right toes, and then the right fingers and the left toes. Just rest your forehead on the mat. And take a few breaths. Good. And then bring everything back in line. And then you're going to slide your elbows back so they're just about under your shoulders, maybe a little bit in front of them. And then bending the elbows, bring your hands up so that you can clasp your hands. And then rest your chin on your hands. Good. And then we'll just take a few breaths here. So this is called Crocodile pose. It's similar to Sphinx. Sphinx is here, you know, you're keeping the chest lifted. Here, you're using your hands to rest your chin on to help keep that chest lifted. So you should feel this in the back. It is a back bend. If you start to feel it in the low back, pull your tailbone down towards your heels a little bit. Keeping those abs tight. Good, and breathe. And then go ahead and return your hands to the mat. Slide them now more under your shoulders. Curl your toes. Push yourself back up into hands and knees. And then widen your knees so your big toes are touching. And we'll come back into child's pose. Good. And then with the inhale, go ahead and lift the torso. Bring your knees back together, dropping the hips to one side so you can sweep the legs around. And then go ahead and fold up your blanket if you have that opened. And we'll actually sit on our blanket now and grab your strap. So we'll start by keeping the left leg extended, bending the right knee, and then picking that right foot up and stepping it to the outside of the left knee. So we're going to come into a twist. We'll start by turning to the right. So as you inhale, lengthen the spine. And then as you exhale, focus on the lower left rib cage, turning first. Bring that right hand around behind you. The left arm, you can either hug your knee and pull it in towards you, or if you can get that left shoulder in front of the right knee, then you can bring the back of the left upper arm to the outside of the right knee. As you then turn and look to the right, continue to breathe. Good, and then releasing the twist back to center. Go ahead and remove that right foot, and we'll try it on the other side. So keeping the right leg extended, the knee and the toe pointing up, bending the left knee, and then stepping that right foot to the outside of the right knee. Inhale to lengthen, and then exhale as you start to hug that knee in towards you. Again, either wrapping the right arm around or bringing the right arm to the outside of the left knee, and then turning and looking to the left. Use that left hand to support the spine. Good. And then go ahead and release the twist and come back to center and uncross that left leg. Good. So we're going to start by extending those legs out in front of us. And then we've done this before with our Baddha Konasana. We brought our feet together just to try to widen our legs a little bit more. Bring your hands around behind you. Have your fingertips facing away from you. And as you press into your hands, then press into your feet and see if you can widen your legs a little bit more. And by sitting up on a blanket, we help to keep that low back straight. So again, we don't want to be rounding. Only widen your legs as far as you can, that you can keep the back straight. All right, here we go. Let's take our strap. We'll start by putting it around the ball of the right foot. Good, and then holding on to it with the right hand, take a nice big inhale, and then you're gonna lean a little bit to the right. Now, your options are just to put that left hand on your hip. If you want, you can extend the arm up as you lean. Good. If you're a little more flexible, again, still keeping the back straight, you can hold on to your toes or maybe the side of the foot. Good. Keep breathing. Good. And then inhale back to center. Try it on the other side. So if you can hold on to your toes, the important thing is that rounding. So the strap is there so that you can use it to hold on. Come a little bit now to the left, but that low back is straight. So make sure you're paying attention to that. All right, strap goes around the ball of the left foot. Hold on to the strap with the left hand. Inhale to lengthen, and then exhale, bending a little bit to the left. And again, right arm can come up, or you can just put it on your waist. Again, if you can hold on to the outside of the foot or even the top of the toes. Good, and continue to breathe. Good, and then releasing, come back to center. Go ahead and remove your strap. And then speaking of Baddha Konasana, we're gonna come into that. So bending the knees, now we'll bring the soles of the feet together. And then a couple of options here. If you'd like to that, bringing your hands behind you, pressing into your knees to open up a little more, you're welcome to stay here. The other option, and again, here you have to be careful with that rounding, but keeping the back straight, you can rest your forearms on the inner thighs and then press down with those forearms, see if you can get a little deeper stretch here. Good, and then continue to breathe. Good, and then with the inhale, go ahead and bring that torso back up. And then we're going to come down on our backs. We're going to do a modified legs up the wall. I'm also going to show you it on a chair, so you don't have to do it just on the block. So I'll show you both. I'll start with the chair. So you can just bring the chair over to the top of the mat. You can even put a blanket on the chair if you'd like. And then turning on your side to come down on your back. So you want to scoot up so when you put your feet on the chair, your legs are almost at 90 degrees. You may even want to, I'm going to hang that over a little bit. There we go. So this is perfectly fine here. So if you'd like to rest here for a couple of moments, then stay here. If you would like to use your block, then back up a little bit. You're going to come into bridge position, take the block, place it under your sacrum, rest your hips on the block, pick up your feet so your knees are above the hips, and then extend the legs. And again, just resting here for a few moments. So whichever position is best for you, they're both an inversion, again, sending the blood from the lower limbs back to the heart. And we'll just stay here for a few moments, maybe about another 30 seconds or so. So if you do have your legs extended, then just bending both knees, but drop one foot down first and then the other, coming back into your bridge, remove your block. If your legs are on the chair, then again, just bending the knees, and then you'll probably want to move your chair out to the side. You're going to stay on your back coming into Savasana. I'm going to come up to a seated position. So go ahead and prepare yourself in Savasana. And then I will talk you through that. So as you get yourself comfortable, just let those legs extend out in front of you. As you relax, just let those feet fall out to the side. Arms are a few inches away from the body. Rotate the palms so they're facing up towards the ceiling. And then closing the eyes. And And turning the attention back to the breath. Again, notice the inhale. And notice the exhale. With your next inhale, let the abdomen rise first, then the chest, filling the lungs all the way up to the collarbones. And with the exhale, let the collarbones fall first, then the chest, then the abdomen. Drawing the navel to the spine. Just continue with a few of these nice deep breaths. Focus on the physical body. Relax all the muscles from the feet all the way up to the crown of the head. Release any tension or tightness. Focus on the mind. Release any thoughts, worries, or anxieties. Imagine you're laying in a field of flowers. Gazing up at a brilliant blue sky. And all your cares and worries are just sitting on a big white puffy cloud. And as you look, just watch that cloud as it drifts on by. Yourself just a few moments to completely let go. to deepen your breath. And then start moving your fingers and toes. And the wrists and the ankles. And when you're ready, bending both knees and rolling onto your right side in a fetal position. And taking a few breaths here. Using your left hand to support you, pushing yourself back up into your seated position. Keeping the body relaxed and the eyes closed for another moment. Focus on the intention that you set at the beginning of the practice. And we'll take one more deep cleansing breath. So take a nice big inhale and exhale it all out. Good. And then go ahead and lift your head and open your eyes. Thank you all so much for joining me.